Hello and welcome, beloved, to the Dr. Mumbi Show. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you are moving into living life on your own terms. We thank everyone that has supported us on the Dr. Mumbi Live channel. We're quickly approaching 50,000 subscribers. We have gotten another strike on the Dr. Mumbi Show channel, so we will be posting here for the next 2 weeks. But it's just, the time is here. We talked about how revolution was here, and we gave some very, sensitive information about the George Floyd murder. And, YouTube came back and gave us a strike, but the information got out. Because you have to recognize, fam, we're not waging war against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places. It's the spirit of the air that is controlling people and trying to create this herd mentality where they move people through fear this way and that way. But those are stories for other days. Now we've, with everything that's been happening in the last week following George Floyd's murder, there's been a lot of, people have almost forgotten the coronavirus was a thing. And even as that kind of overshadows all the other news, there's been a lot of unease across the African continent as the lockdown continues, and yet the government, you're dealing with people who, over 70% of your population live on a daily wage, and for 3 months you've locked them down. How is that going to work? And we saw Rwanda. They had actually decided to ease the lockdown. Remember, they were the first country to shut down, and then after, all of a sudden, they had their first death, and Kagame, locked down Rwanda again. But now this shows you the power to the people, because it was quite a different story in Senegal, where the Senegalese, they have actually been in quarantine. Well, they have a dusk to dawn curfew, and they were also not allowed to travel regionally. And this really, really actually affected, it's really affected the people. It's affected their business, etc., etc. And the Senegalese eventually have said enough is enough. So they took to the streets about 2 days ago, and they held demonstrations after curfew hours, protesting the government. And it looks like the government actually listened to them. And this speaks volumes to all of us who, the government will push you as hard as you allow them to push you. But sometimes they try and diminish the power of the people. But the power of the people is real. And the power of the people is strong. And that's why they're always trying to create division amongst us, so that we're always, so that we spend more time arguing on non-issues than actually coming together and fighting the common discrimination, manipulation, oppression that we all face. So Senegal was just like, we are not having it. And in fact, the interior minister had to respond. He goes by the name of Ali Nguile Ndiaye. And he said, from today, transport restrictions across the country are being lifted, with the curfew being maintained from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. And even though the number of cases in Senegal continued to grow, the country had maintained relatively low figures. They're saying that about 4,000 people have been confirmed, 45 fatalities. But one thing that a lot of Africans have been asking is, do you know someone personally, either your cousin, your brother, your friend, even someone in your neighbor, who is among these figures that we keep seeing? Because when you ask a lot of Africans, no one seems to know anybody or even somebody who is currently, who has corona, or is in some hospital somewhere. And many things have been exposed, especially, you remember I don't know where it was in Nigeria, where, the numbers kept rising, but then when they went to the isolation center, it was totally empty. The beds were, had been stored in one side. But it shows you that if you complain enough, if you come together and you say enough is enough, the government has no choice but to listen to you. So, word to the wise. Here in Kenya, we're waiting to see what the president will say tomorrow, because every day, the global manipulation of this thing, and it's like Africa, everyone else has moved on, and Africa is still trying to play the game with its citizens. Because the majority of us, unfortunately, are ignorant, but so many of us are coming online that these things are not going to work anymore. Anyway, let me know what you think. What's happening in your country? Has lockdown or lock-in or curfew been eased? Do you know someone? Please, if there's someone who knows someone directly who has the virus, let us know in the comments below. Until next time, fam. Tuko, pamoja.
Wake up. Wake up, Africa, your time has come. Open up your eyes and see the sun. Open up your spirit.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Hello and welcome to Africa Watch on the Dr. Mumbi Show. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I pray you're well in all, in all that you're doing and in everything that you're up to. May you be living your best life. There's so much happening on the African continent, and there's so much. This is like a season of exposure because all kinds of dirty tricks and dirty plans are just coming to the forefront for the world to see. And now in the news this time around, it's France yet again. And I mean, France has just, I don't know who France messed up because they've just been getting they've just been, the karma that's been hitting them. It's like a bleep storm, if you know what I mean. And what's been revealed right now, it's actually came out. It's in a few French papers, but not many people are talking about it as of yet. And I wonder if it's because, does France control a lot of the West African media houses? Anyway, I don't know. Those are stories for other days. But it's being alleged that France actually spied on the Senegalese military and received all the data of the Senegalese military for over 15 years. And, it just happened like 2 days ago where Paris was being accused of spying on Senegal. And the way they did it is, so the French have this thing called the Directorate General of External Security. And it's been in existence since 1982, but it moved from something else. And basically, this is where they their military operations internationally, everything is run from this office, this directorate. And what the expose shows, so there's this expose that's came out. It came out on January 25th, and what it shows is that the Directorate General of External Security in France had access to security services data of Senegal for 15 years through a specialized and it's like it was a website or it was a machine that, so basically what they're saying, it was some kind of machine that was used to send faxes and also they also used it to send bribes, allegedly. But through this information, all the data that was sent, that this machine used, actually went bypassed through France. So this is almost what happened in the African Union when, the African Union was built by the Chinese, and what we learned 5 years into the new building is that China had bugged the entire complex and used to download and send information every day at 2 a.m. And the only reason we picked it up is because there was a power surge. So now we find a similar situation with Senegal. And it's really, really interesting because, Senegal, yes, it's a former colony of France, but they had the French actually closed down. They went through this whole elaborate thing where they closed down their military bases in Senegal in 2010, and people were like, "Whoa, okay." Huge move, because a lot of Senegalese had been complaining for years, since 1960s, that the continued military presence of France in Senegal was a sign of a continued neo-colonial agenda. So they said, they were shutting down. They removed 1,200 of their troops from Senegal. They left 300 to manage what they called a collective security system with other nations and train the Senegalese police and military. These guys are just the occupying, these are the occupying guys. They're still occupying you. But little did Senegal know that actually since 2002, even when they were walking away, they'd bugged the system, so they didn't care. Since 2002, there was this dedicated web server, I think it's website01net.com or something like that, that's dedicated to this large investigation, that the Directorate General of External Security was able to spy on Senegal, send bribes to different military personnel, and basically know every single thing, from the kind of weapons they were buying to the kind of how many people were being recruited, how many, everything you can imagine. And this shows you why. This is further confirmation that a lot of African nations are still under the domination of these, former colonial powers. They never left. They never left, and they came up with ways, and they use all this fancy language. Oh, we're going to leave our military there so everything is okay as you transition. Oh, we're going to leave our military so they can train you. You know, it's all these things, but when you look at it from another angle, like take off the kid gloves and let's really look at what's going on, it's a total mess.